Hello, everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of Primate, the new killer monkey horror film that we so desperately needed in 2026. This in this film, you have a tropical vacation goes awry when Ben, a family's adopted chimpanzee, is bitten by a rabid animal and suddenly becomes violent. This film is directed by Johannes Roberts, who gave us 47 Meters Down, which was a sneaky good film. I actually like 47 Meters Down a little bit for what it was. But outside of that, not so much, I think Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, and a few other films that just didn't quite get there. The Strangers, Prey by Night, that it was better than these new Strangers films, but it wasn't good. And so up to this point, he hasn't really proven himself to be a real good horror director outside of 47 Meters Down. But I was willing to give this a shot. You had me at Killer Monkey, and I was all in on this film. The movie stars Troy, well, one of the stars of this film, Troy Kotsur, or should I say Academy Award winner Troy Kotsur. This is the first film I've seen him in since he won the Academy Award for Coda. He is the deaf actor who won the Academy Award for that film. And it's pretty odd to say that this is the first time I've seen him in something. Now, he probably worked in something else, but this is my first time seeing him in something outside of that. And it's kind of a weird choice. You have this cachet as an Academy Award winner, and your next big project is Primate. But hey, I'm not mad at him. He was the best thing in this movie, at least acting wise, and he didn't talk or can't talk. Amazing performance by him. This movie is what it is. This is a pretty simple review. Primate is exactly what you think Primate would be. A monkey or a chimpanzee gets bit by an animal, contracts rabies, and goes on a killing spree. That's the movie. That's the movie. It is what it is. If you're looking for something special out of this movie, you can forget about it. It's not there. There's no dare there. That is precisely what this movie is from beginning to end. And when you do a horror film that's going to be pretty basic, cut by numbers or color by numbers, you're going to have to hook me in the first 10 minutes. And Primate hooked me in the first three. In the first 3 minutes, I was all in. It starts off with a kill that was unexpected and unexpectedly brutal and gory. That I was like, man, if that's what this movie, if this is what I'm getting in the first 3 minutes, I can't wait for the rest of this movie. Well, this movie isn't bloody and glory or gory in the sense of just overabundance of guts and blood and all that other good stuff all throughout the film. This movie is surprisingly not as gory as you would expect. But once you get the kills, it is gory. The kills are gory and gratuitous, but it fit. It fit the tone of the movie. It fit the what direction, what story is being told here. So it was satisfying to a degree by old school horror film standards, and it really was kind of a throwback style of a horror film, like a 80s horror film, maybe early 90s horror film that we got, at least those of us of a certain age that experienced movies like this, that wasn't reliant on story or being character driven or heavy dialogue driven. You just went to it or watched it for the kills. And that's precisely what this movie was all about. It's a contained story in this house, nice big gigantic house, but a house nonetheless. And it really, as big as the house is relegated to the pool. Um, 70% of this movie takes place either in the pool or around the pool. Because the pool plays a major part of the storytelling here. I thought that was genius by a filmmaking standard, because this is a rabid animal who's on a killing spree. Running around the house for an hour and 30 minutes wasn't going to cut the mustard. So you had to find another plot device to keep your cast and your characters stationary and the allow the tension to build throughout the film. And I think this film does a good job of doing that. The tension was shockingly there. A lot of tension here. It wasn't you cheap jump scares with the chimpanzee jumping out of the closet or coming out of the shadows and all this other foolishness just popping up out of nowhere. The camera shows an area and then the camera rip around and then come back and there he stands like voila. It's none of that. It's really done in a, it's weird to say this, but in a realistic way on how this chimpanzee would move around the house and hide in little crevices or corners of the house and, stalk around the swimming pool where our characters are held up at. It's very, very smart how they executed that storytelling device, and it added to the tension. Like, I got to get to the phone. The phone is in the living room. How are we going to get to the phone? Can we sneak past him? Oh, he's not there. Can we move quietly and all this? It's genius. It was genius, I must say. What wasn't genius about this film, what really takes this movie back, number one, like I said, story is there's no story there. There's nothing outside of this chimpanzee that is a bit interesting. Nothing. As far as our characters, there's no development. There's not one character in this film that you can get behind. As far as our lead characters, our quote unquote young people that's in the movie who are being stalked by this chimpanzee, there's no development there. There's nobody you can really get behind. Like, for instance, if you go watch the original Halloween, you got behind Laurie Strode. You got behind Jamie Lee Curtis' character in that film. You was cheering for her, hoping that she'd make it to the end. The Scream films, you got behind Sidney Prescott. You cheering for her, hoping that she makes it to the end. That final girl, that final character, our protagonist. There's no protagonist in this movie. Now there's a protagonist, but she doesn't, and it's no fault to that young actress. It's just the way the screenplay was written. There's no development of her character. There's no backstory on her, or what's her motivations, or what's what she's all about. There's nothing there, and none of the characters. And if your protagonists don't have that, you can rest assured the rest of the cast didn't have that for their characters, and the film suffers because of that. And did it take away? Not really take away, but you want to cheer. I found myself cheering for Ben. I felt, I was cheering for the monkey throughout the film because it was no other character outside of Troy Kotsur's character of Adam, the dad. He had a story. He actually had something there that I was interested in outside of Ben, the chimpanzee, with his work and, being consumed by work. They set that up really good. The reason he wasn't at the house and he was out doing business stuff and he's never around and he left them there and kids did what young kids do. Oh, the cat's away, the mouse can play, so we can party, drink, and do whatever because there's no parental figure in the house. So all that was there. But uh, uh I love Troy in this movie. I mean, he's Academy Award winner. Yeah. He's the only one that really emotes, and he emotes without speaking, because he's deaf, and that helps. But aside from him, no other character, no other character worked for me. And so that caused the film to suffer. The the chimpanzee. Now, this isn't Rise of the Planet of the Apes level of visual effects for the chimpanzee. This is a low budget movie. So, and of course, they couldn't use a real chimpanzee. So it's the animatronic. You had puppeteers and whatnot operating this thing. Now it looked real. It looked really good in certain scenes, but for the majority of the film, it looked really, really bad. That thing looked bad, especially towards the end. And I know it was supposed to give off that it's getting rough for this thing, because of what is going through with this rabies and causing him to go feral. And I get where they were going with it, but it just looked bad. And it just showed or displayed, that's the word I'm looking for, it just displayed the flaws in the design of this chimpanzee. But I 100% respect the fact that they went practical. I respect it 100% because it gets, I'm to the age now, I'm the grumpy old man now, and the all the visual effects are just killing me in movies, and especially in certain movies where you can pinpoint it and it starts to look like a cartoon, and it just takes me out of the movie. This didn't really take me out of the movie because I was marveling in the fact that they pulled off this practically, and it helped with the kills in the movie and how they shot it in certain ways to kind of hide it, and I like that, but it made it more tense, and it helped the movie in the long run. Just thinking back to Jaws, and in no way am I comparing this movie to Jaws, but I'm saying like how you didn't see the shark throughout the film. Your imagination did most of the work, and in certain kills in the film, your imagination had to take over. And I don't know about yours, but mine's is pretty dark. So when they kind of cut away from certain kills, my mind just went like, oh my god, oh my god. And all of them were doing it. All of the kills will make you cringe in horror, and that's what a good horror film is supposed to do. Primate, the first film or the first new film of 2026, gets a letter grade of a B. Yeah, I thought it was really good for a horror film. It caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting much from it. I was not expecting it to be as entertaining as it is. Even though it is littered with flaws, it still entertained me and kept me at the edge of my seat from beginning to end. I would like to know, did you check out Primate, and what did you think? You can email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of Primate. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.